Hi everyone, it's Catherine. Welcome back to my channel and welcome to my July plan with me. I didn't film the video, but I have moved into a new bullet journal for the second half of the year. It's another beautiful journal by Notebook Therapy, and I will link it below. And I'm just going to do a quick flip through of my setup before starting July. I have a cover page that kind of mimics the planets and stars on the front cover. That just says July to December 2021. Black background, silver planets, stars, really pretty. I have some quotes here. It's a little fast to try and read them and talk about everything else at the same time, so I will copy them in the description if you are wondering what they are. I also have my grid spacing cheat sheet here, just giving me the number of dots on each page and some guidelines for the most common divisions that I like to use. It's taken me a while to figure out the ones that I like and find most useful, but now that I have it down, hopefully weekly setups will take a little less time. Then I have my future log for the second half of 2020, July through December, as well as a space for next year, for anything that might pop up for next year. Then my VIP Kid class tracker. I love this tracker. I have some really cute dino stickers I got from the VIP Kid Token Center, and I think this is my favorite setup for this tracker yet. And then I have a quotes to remember and stuff to check out page already populated with some things from my previous journal. And then just a period and health tracker. I found I really wanted to have all of that information all in one place, as well as a brain dump page, just to give myself a little extra space for any extra ideas. And this time I'm actually trying a Kanban board. I got the idea from Elizabeth over at Plant-Based Bride, and I'll let you know how it turns out. But this is for making YouTube videos. I find that there's always at least one or two steps that I am just like sprinting to finish or forgetting to do completely. So hopefully this will make that whole process simpler. I also have a place to update my goals from 2020, reevaluate, some goals may have changed or shifted slightly, and this is where I can put that. And if there are goals that haven't changed, then they can go there too. This is just a good place to keep all of that in one place. And so now, flipping the page, it is time to start July. So this month, I am once again using stickers from Planning with Kay for this setup. And this is her campfire theme. Living in Maine, camping in the summer is kind of a thing, and it's something that I did at least once a summer growing up, either with friends or family or both. And these campouts always seemed to happen in July, so July just feels very campfire-y to me. I don't really camp all that much now, but it was fun growing up and it's fond memories. So I'm taking my watercolors and kind of putting in a campfire, just with some bright yellows and oranges. And you might be able to see in pencil, I have outlined kind of a frame around each page on this particular spread. And I've drawn a marshmallow on a stick, and that is actually where the July title is going to go. I don't know why I'm so delighted with this particular idea, but it just tickles me to no end, and I'm really happy with how it turned out. So hopefully you will like it too. If you see my arm crossing in front of the camera a lot, it's because I had my water over on the other side. So my paints and my water were kind of on opposite sides. That does change after a bit. But for this first page, it seemed easier to have my colors right close to the page I was currently working on. I don't know if it actually made a difference, but I thought it might. By the way, if you hear barking in the background, that is my mother's dog and my brother's dog playing with each other. They're very loud, and I apologize if that's annoying, but if you've been around this channel for any length of time, you know that we have dogs, and there's nothing I can do about when they choose to bark. So now I'm just putting in the background for this sort of vignette. Just some sort of blue, purple skies kind of fading into each other. And then there'll be, I think, a little bit of green also kind of blending into the blue. This isn't watercolor paper, but it is very thick. And it worked surprisingly well. I think it helped that when I was making this setup, it was so humid. It's actually still really humid where I live, and the almost extreme humidity, especially for this time of year, kind of worked in my favor. I think it bought me a little bit extra time, because when I've tried to do watercolor in my journal in like spring and like winter and spring, it has dried really, really fast. And while I've been able to make it work, it's definitely not been as easy to blend everything. And this month it worked really well, so it must be the humidity. That's what I'm going with. And so now I'm just taking my paints and going around the sort of borders of each page, and I'm showing a little bit of this. I cut quite a bit out, honestly. You don't really need to watch this long process of me just putting paint on the page. If you want to see all of those nitty-gritty details, please let me know in the comments, but it was going to make for an extremely long video. This took quite a while, and even sped up to 4 times the normal speed, it still just was taking a while. So I didn't want to make you sit through that. So yeah, I didn't. And what you saw before when I flipped that page was just me checking to make sure, because I was using quite a bit of water and quite a bit of paint. I just wanted to make sure that I wasn't getting any bleed through. Not that it would have helped at that point, but just checking. Again, I apologize for the barking dogs. I hope you like dogs. If you can even hear them. I honestly am not sure if my microphone cancels them out, but I can hear them through my headphones, so I assume you can. I'm just writing in the July title and going over the pencil in the marshmallow with the same pen. So this is my Kuretake Kokoiro brush letter pen. It is probably my favorite brush pen ever. I love the way my lettering looks with this pen, and it's just so comfortable to hold and lovely to use, so I'm using it quite a bit. I'm also taking my Uniball Signo, wow, I can talk, my Uniball Signo white gel pen, and making some stars in the sky behind the campfire. And as soon as this page dries, which as I mentioned took quite a while, I'm going to start writing the quote on the opposite page. And this quote is one that I really enjoy. It's easier to throw sticks on the campfire than to try to restart it when it goes out. And that is by Cynthia Lewis. So if you are in a situation where you're starting to feel burned out, just remember, stop, recharge, because it's much easier to sort of recharge and relight your fire before it goes out than to try and get yourself back to being healthy mentally, physically, emotionally, after your fire is already burned out. So it's a good reminder, especially I think going into July. Life kind of slows down a little bit. I'm taking some of the decorative stickers, like some that came with the monthly kit and some that I ordered separately, and just creating a cute little campfire scene, a couple of pine trees, and a sleepy bear in a tent, a little campfire. I think there's a hedgehog in here somewhere, possibly another tree. Oh, no, not another tree, a tent, a little pop tent. And there's the hedgehog. that's my cover page and quote page done, and I'm really happy with how these turned out. Flipping over, yeah, you can definitely see that the watercolor, I used a lot of water here. I did already draw in the calendar. I figured there's no need for you to watch me do that, especially this month is going to be, this setup is going to be long enough as it is. And it made it faster and easier for me not having to worry about having to edit that part out. So I drew that in before I started. But now I'm actually creating a Dutch door. This is the first time I've done this, but I thought this would be a fun way to, I don't know, just a fun way to change things up a bit. I am erasing. My pencil line got a little bit wonky, so after I cut the Dutch door, I had to erase. And now I'm actually going to start with the watercolor panel. As I've mentioned, it's very humid, and so my watercolors are taking a while to dry. So I wanted to start that part first. So I'm just getting some color on my brush, starting with green, leaving a little bit of space for the campfire. And I did cut some of this out also. As I said, this part takes quite a while, and I didn't think you needed to really sit there and watch paint dry as I applied more paint. So again, hopefully you don't mind. If you do mind, by all means, let me know, and I'll change that for next time. Just trying to make the video go a little bit faster too. This seemed like a short setup. It seemed like it was going to be quick and easy, and it felt actually while I was doing it fairly quick and easy. But then watching it back, I realized just how much time this took. I'm just blending the very deep dark, almost purpley blue into the rest of the sky. Trying to make the campfire and the green and blue and all kind of blend together nicely. Now I'm coming back over to the calendar part while the sidebar dries, and I'm basically going to end up applying more watercolor. First I'm drawing in my YouTube tracker, just a spot for me to write how many subscribers my channel had at the start of the month, how many I have at the end of the month, and it's just a nice little spot for me to kind of keep track of how things are going on over here. Sometimes I remember to fill it in, sometimes I don't, but I suppose that's healthy, so good for me, I guess. And then I drew the little YouTube logo and took a little bit of time to color it in with to color in the little play arrow with the Pigma Micron, and then realized shortly after that I used a shade of green that was entirely too dark, and you can't actually see the play button anymore, at least I can't. Whoops. So that was some time that didn't need to be spent there, but oh well. And now I'm just going to put some color all around the calendar. I really like doing this. I really enjoy the, I guess, the contrast of the bright white calendar with the background all colored in. It takes quite a while, and I probably wouldn't have, except that I knew I wanted to put a sort of backsplash of watercolor up at the top, and it just seemed wrong somehow, especially with watercolor, the way watercolor tends to blend together, to do part of it, kind of do that top part before July starts, and not to have the rest of the page colored in. I couldn't quite make myself leave that alone, so I didn't. So I'm just filling in just like I did with everything else and blending the colors and kind of giving a, hopefully like a campfire vibe here. Then I'm just going to apply some number stickers. Well, and first I'm going to apply that decorative sidebar sticker, which I just think is so pretty. I really love this sticker. I love that Kay included the that sort of long sidebar. I could have used it for a title, but it's just so pretty all on its own. And then I just took my white gel pen and wrote July in a pretty cursive. And I just absolutely love how this calendar is looking. And next I'm taking some number stickers and just applying them to the calendar. It's probably faster to manually write each of the numbers on the calendar, but I like how consistent these are. And they're nice and big, and I know the contrast is going to be good when I use these larger number stickers, so I really like using them. They make it easy for me to see what date is where really quickly, instead of having to open it up and squint and kind of count and think that maybe I've got the date right, but maybe I have it wrong. This is much easier. But again, it's kind of slow going putting the stickers on, so it's very repetitive. So we just went ahead and skipped to the end. Alright, and then once those are done and I've made sure that my watercolor is dry enough, I'm just applying some tree stickers at the top in that kind of awkward rectangle between where June ends and July hasn't quite begun yet. And this worked out really well because I really didn't do a very good job blending the green and the blue, and I didn't like how that was looking. So pro tip, if you use stickers in your journal, it's a really great way to disguise areas that you think maybe didn't turn out so well. Just put some stickers over it. And then I'm adding some little circle stickers for each day of the week. It's just from that Campfire monthly kit. And then finally I'm taking my white gel pen again and just adding in some stars to the sky. And that is the July calendar. Flipping over that Dutch door, I am now just going to do my habit and mood trackers. And going back to my favorite format, I really love this format. It's probably one I'll use for a while. I don't need to draw or stamp or use stickers for any little calendars or anything. No huge amount of math or anything involved with trying to make circles and draw lines and all that. I just take the number line sticker from Planning with Kay, just either from the add-on kit or the add-on sheet for the monthly kit, or from one of the extra ones that I happen to have in my stash, and put that across the top of the page. Habit on top, mood on bottom, and so that way I just have half and half. And for my habits, I'm just going to write them in the empty space down the left-hand side of the page, and then my mood will probably go kind of moving up from the bottom, but we'll see how I actually feel like doing that when it comes time to do it. I like this sort of bar graph style mood tracker though. It's much easier for me than trying to assign colors, because I find that I actually can't see the difference between some of the colors that I try to use as easily as I would like to. So by just kind of making it a bar graph, I can use whatever color happens to be to hand, or I can choose and kind of keep one color out in particular if I want to use one or two colors throughout the month, but I don't need to assign a meaning to any of those colors. So if it turns out that I can't really tell the difference, it's not a big deal. And so that makes it a lot easier visually, just to figure out what mood I was in instead of squinting. Like, is that the dark purple or the medium purple? This makes my life a lot easier. And that means that I'm a lot more likely to actually use my mood tracker, which is the entire point. And again, if you've been around here for any length of time, you will be shocked to find that I actually chose my habits already. I cannot read them from here, but I do have them chosen and already wrote them down, so I know how many I'm tracking. And now I'm just drawing a line underneath my final habit across both pages, and then I'm going to draw another line a little ways down, just to give a little bit more definition and kind of give the mood tracker someplace to sit. I wasn't going to, and then I realized that I really didn't like not having a very defined space for something to start and end. I didn't know what to do with that without having that very defined space there. And that is that. Just fixing a couple stickers there. And there are my habit and mood trackers. All right, so the next page is my meal plan setup, and so this is another Dutch door. This will be the last Dutch door of this particular setup, and so I'm just cutting off that portion, giving myself a nice big space for a shopping list, and once again I'm going to take my watercolors and create a decorative panel and space for the title of the spread. Just blending my watercolors together. I really actually like how this particular blend turned out. By this point, I've done this several times on this paper and in this level of humidity, and so I'm kind of getting the hang of how everything kind of works together without overloading the page with water. And so I'm really happy with the way this blend turned out. Now that I've got my pages all set up, I'm just going to take some of the leftover blue from my decorative strip, and while the panel on the side, I was about to say cools, so you can tell I cooked too much. While the panel on the side dries, I'm just going to fill in some spaces just with some watercolor sort of swatches almost. Swatches, strips, stripes, whatever you want to call it, so that I have a space to write the title for each week. 4 weeks here. I realized later that July actually has 5 weeks according to the way that I count weeks, since I start on Mondays, and I give the end or the beginning of the month to whichever one has the most days. And I don't think that really makes sense the way I said it, but basically June, I have a Monday start for my weeks. June ends on Wednesday, so that's 3 days, and so July starts on Thursday, and so for this week it would be Thursday through Sunday, and that's 4 days. Therefore, July has more days in it than June this week, so July gets this week, and that's just easier for me. And so because July then also ends on a Saturday, that means that July also gets that very first day in August. So 5 weeks for July. And I forgot. These 5 week months really kill me when it comes to the meal prep or meal planning spread. I do really well with the 4 week months, but I always forget that 5th week. So yeah. But for now, I am blissfully unaware, and so I'm just adding my some stickers. Oh, and I remembered. So what I ended up doing was just taking part of the shopping list and making a space for July, that last week of July. And really, this is a little bit less important now. I have a shared note with my family, so that we all, just on our phones, we all can edit, and not that they ever edit it, but I can edit it and they can all see what we're having for dinner that week. So it's less important, but I still like to have this place to just write down, and if I'm trying to think through something, I can kind of write it out and see what I'm doing. So now we're moving on to the last 2 pages of the monthly spread before getting into the weeklies. And on this page, I'm moving my summer bucket list from my old journal, because that would have been in June, and I'm moving it into July, into this journal. I just found that, that's a spread I will probably keep through August also. I want to have that record. I want to have the ability to add things to it as I go, and having it live in my old journal that I'm not really going to be using after this month is over just didn't seem right. It's still summer, so I wanted that spread here. So I'm just making a banner, and I'm going to color that banner in with my watercolors again. I had some trouble with this. It really didn't work very well. I had some bleeding issues. I think I just had some issues controlling the amount of water on my brush. I think actually for the space I was trying to color, my brush was too big, but I didn't think of that until I noticed things kind of bleeding a little bit too much, and by that point it was kind of too late. So, oh well, live and learn. So I'm just going to color this banner in purple. Then I'm going to draw a banner for the next page while that one dries. And this page is going to be, I'm calling it social and fun. I got this idea from Riley Autumn, and I'll link her channel below. She does these in her own bullet journal every month, just as a way to remind herself of the people she wants to make sure she connects with that month, friends, family, making sure that she stays connected to those people who are important to her. And I thought that was a really great idea, and especially coming out of quarantine and this past year with so much time being spent separated and apart, and with summer, and I just thought this was a great idea. So this will be a way for me to also track, who do I want to try and hang out with, who do I want to get in touch with, and see if we can figure out a time to meet up or something to do, to reconnect with each other. So that is what I'm going to use this spread for, and I'm very excited. I'm missing my friends. It's been a long year and a half, and not that I haven't talked to them at all, but I've been missing getting together and meeting up for fun activities. So this is where I think I actually went wrong with the summer bucket list banner. I tried to darken the part that would be set back a little bit more, and I didn't notice it at the time, but I can actually see as I'm watching it back and doing the voiceover now, I can see where it got away from me and it bled. And if I wouldn't have tried to be fancy, and I wouldn't have done that, then it wouldn't have bled. But now I know not to do that, so lesson learned. I'm just adding some decorative stickers, and writing in the titles. Or did I already write in the titles? No, not yet. I'll be writing in the titles in just a few minutes. So adding in some fun decorative stickers, making a little camping scene along the bottom seemed particularly appropriate, given that this is my summer bucket list and sort of social connections spread. This really adorable sticker of a cat sleeping in a hammock. But for whatever reason, I only added the one tree, and I didn't like how that looked, just all by its lonesome. The hammock kind of looked like it was floating in like empty space, and that just didn't seem cool. So I did end up painting a tree and in the on the other side. So the tree itself looks like it's a bit too close to the fire, but these are stickers, not real life. Don't put your tree or your fire or your hammock that close to one another in real life. Especially not with as dry as things have been this year. But for the purposes of the drawing, I think it worked quite well. And then the cat is not floating in midair. Although to believe some of the ghost stories my brother told me when I was a kid, that might happen. Alright, so now I'm moving on to my first weekly spread of the month, and I'm not really sure what happened. I kind of was falling apart at this point. As I said, this whole setup didn't feel like it actually took that long, but now watching it back, I'm realizing it really did take quite a while. But I lost some footage here at some point. Not really sure what happened, but honestly, I think a lot of it I would have ended up editing out anyway, just because it was a lot of me just figuring out my spacing and where I was putting things, and drawing those outlines in pencil, which is not something you really need to watch me do. So I took out the part where I was counting dots and outlining in pencil and outlining in pen and then erasing the pencil. Yeah. So now I'm just putting a watercolor swatch sticker and a tasks header underneath the weekly header. And then from there, I'll just add some more daily stickers just to mark each day of the week where it's going to go, what box it's going in. And what I'm doing this month, I usually like to have another Dutch door spread that is a daily review and sort of just a place for me to write a few lines about what happened that day. But I'm trying something a little different this month, and I want to incorporate that into my weekly spreads. So I don't have a flip through this month. Not really sure what happened. I thought I filmed it. I must not have hit record, or something must have happened, because when I went to add it, it wasn't there. Whoops, I'm really sorry. But hopefully you guys get the idea. If you want to see more pictures, go check out my Instagram. It will be there. You can, of course, watch the video again, although this is quite long. So I'm just going to finish adding in some decorative stickers to make the spread a little more full, a little more fun. If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up and hit subscribe if you haven't, and hit the bell to be notified every time I post a new video if that's something you're interested in. And let me know in the comments, what is your theme for July if you are a bullet journaler? And if you're not a bullet journaler, what are you up to this month? What's going on in your life? All right, everyone. I hope you have an awesome week. Have an awesome start to your July. I'm just going to let the music take us out to the end of the video. Have a great day, everyone. Bye.